Houthi media report Israeli, US and British airstrikes on Sana'a and Hodeida. The World Health Organization warns that Al-Awda Hospital urgently needs fuel supplies and access. And the US and UK impose sanctions on Russia oil firms, industries and executives. It's 8 p.m. Cairo local time and you're watching Qnews. We begin today's bulletin with the latest developments in Yemen. Houthi-affiliated media has reported around 30 joint airstrikes by Israeli, American and British forces targeting areas in Sana'a and Hodeida, including the Hazais power station. That came as Israeli media confirmed this as the first coordinated strike between Israel and the US-led coalition against Houthi targets in Yemen, part of Israel's strategy to counter Houthis' influence in the region. The Houthis in Yemen have announced that an employee at Hazais central power plant was injured and homes were damaged in Israeli, British and US airstrikes. A Houthi spokesperson stated that the group targeted the USS Truman aircraft carrier and several of its accompanying warships in the northern Red Sea using missile and drones. The statement added that the operation thwarted a new aerial attack against Yemen launched from the USS Truman, forcing it to leave its position. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned Yemen's Houthi group they would pay a heavy price for their aggression against Israel. Netanyahu confirmed Israeli strikes on Houthi targets along Yemen's coast and deeper inland. He also accused the Houthis of serving Iran's interests in the Middle East, threatening Israel, the region, and global maritime navigation. He vowed that the Israeli military would respond decisively to any threats to its security and citizens. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has stated that today's attack on Yemen was a clear message to Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi and Houthis' leadership that no one is immune. Katz vowed to pursue Houthi leaders, destroy their infrastructure and target them anywhere in the Middle East. He emphasized that Israel's response to any aggression will be severe, citing damage to key Yemeni ports as part of Israel's strong warning.
כמו מול סוריה וגם במזרח, שלא ייווצרו יותר איומים על היישובים הישראלים ועל אזרחי מדינת ישראל ועל חיילי...
Right, and for more analysis, we now move to Mark Summers in our newsroom. To you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mona. Yes, for more on the situation in Yemen, we are joined from Cairo by Al-Ahram newspaper managing editor Ashraf Al-Ashri. Thank you for being here with us on Q News. So, could you enlighten us and tell us what is the strategy, what is the thinking behind these airstrikes coordinated by Israel, the US and the United Kingdom?
Good evening to you and to your viewers. This is a new scene. This is more intensification starts from Israel, the United States and Britain to create a new reality in the confrontation with the last pocket of Iran in the region after eliminating Hezbollah and Hamas and Jihad movements over the last 15 months since October 2023. So the events today were the harshest in the American, British, Israeli attacks. For a year, this harsh attacks did not take place. Maybe the coordination played an important role in creating a new reality, attacking Houthis in Sana'a and in Hodeidah in Ras Isa ports. And probably we will have more escalation because Netanyahu wants to use this to move the war from Gaza, and after ending Hezbollah, to have a confrontation with Hezbollah so as to be more dedicated, he and his defense minister, to eliminate the striking force of Houthis and prevent the ballistic and supersonic missiles as well as the drones. And he chose this particular timing, hoping that there will be a launch of more joint operations from Bab el-Mandab and the Red Sea, and this happened when Israel wanted to attack Houthis. That needed 3 hours to get to Yemen because of the distance between Tel Aviv and Sana'a. But now with serious coordination, it is easier. And there will be escalation and counter-escalation. There will be more launching of missiles by Houthis against Israel, and the Israeli-American US will attack more the military positions of Houthis to try to paralyze them.
But let me just stop you there a second, because I wanted to ask you about the Houthis' ambitions, actually. So how significant is this Houthi attack on the USS Truman? What does that indicate about the group's military capabilities and perhaps their ambitions?
For sure, the Houthis has got 3 types of military forces: ballistic missiles, supersonic missiles, and drones. It's all manufactured by Iran, funded by Iran, and the Iranians have been sending their experts to Sana'a to play a great role in developing this, especially the missiles and the drones. And they use that even against Saudi Arabia during the war of Saudi Arabia against the Houthis, when they jumped to hijack the power in Yemen and occupied the cities of Yemen. There is more tendency of more operations from the Houthis, but there is an imbalance of power between Americans, British, and the Israelis against the Houthis. So the Houthis will have more escalation, and maybe there might be a ceasefire when there is a deal between Hamas and Israel. But the Houthis will not be, I believe, they will not be able to attack real elements in Israel because of the fortifications and because of the presence of the US in the Red Sea with very modern arsenal. And Israel has got a lot of intel and a lot of military support from US and Britain. So now Israel is trying to attack a bank of objectives against the Houthis. So the balance is not pro the Houthis. That's why the United States and Israel might speed up to a deal about the hostages, because the Houthis say that there should be a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the hostages against the prisoners to stop attacks on Tel Aviv.
And how might these Israeli strikes on Yemen impact regional stability and also the security of those global maritime routes, especially in the Red Sea?
For sure, since January 25th, and even before that, with the escalation of situation on October 7, 2023, and till few months before, the Houthis wanted to launch more and more against the American vessels and the British vessels in the Red Sea. And with the confrontation between Israel and Hamas, there is more targeting of all the ships that are in Bab el-Mandab and the Red Sea, with the pretext that they are going to Israel. In Egypt, we have been harmed a lot. Egypt lost $7 billion of the revenues of the Suez Canal because of the attack on the supply chain. And this war by the Houthis or by Israel led to economic losses to all the countries of the Red Sea and also to the international trade. And that's why there has been more sabotage of the peace and security of the Middle East. So unfortunately, with the stubbornness of Israel and getting Netanyahu to inflame more the Middle East, there will be more reactions from the Houthis and probably some Iraqi factions that are affiliated with Iran. They might be firing against Israel and expanding the war against Israel. The popular mobilization in Iraq is also going to be an element in 2025. Because when Trump comes to office, it's more likely that there will be more violence because Trump will give more of a military and political coverage for Israel to attack more with the pretext of defending the security of Israel. But this will harm the security and the politics of the people of the Middle East.
So what does Israel's strong rhetoric and also the actions that it's taken against the Houthis mean for its military strategy? Does it have a strategy here?
The Israeli strategy stems from
Well, thank you very much for joining us there, Ashraf Al-Ashri from Al-Ahram newspaper, the managing editor. Thank you very much for joining us. And it's back to you, Mona.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. And now we move on to the latest developments in Gaza. The World Health Organization has said that Al-Awda Hospital, the latest functioning hospital in North Gaza, is overwhelmed with patients and critically low on fuel and essential medical supplies. The UN Health Agency also said it has been working to access the hospital to resupply it and assess the situation at the non-functional Kamal Adwan Hospital. However, damaged roads and insufficient facilitation have made safe access impossible. It also called for immediate action to make roads possible and to facilitate access to sustain Al-Awda Hospital and keep it operational. Gaza Civil Defense says its teams have rushed to the scene of the Israeli attack that targeted a residential home in Gaza City's Shuja'iyya neighborhood. The Civil Defense said in a statement the multi-story building belonged to a Fanana family and has been completely destroyed. It added that team members are currently attempting to recover what can be saved from under the rubble. At least 21 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks across the enclave since dawn. At least 12 of the victims were killed in attacks on the central and southern parts of the Strip. Earlier, Palestinian civil defense teams reported recovering one body and treating two injured individuals after Israeli forces struck near Al-Shafi mosque, close to Tiba Tower in western Khan Yunis, southern Gaza. The attack targeted a civilian area, further highlighting the ongoing crisis in the region. The Palestinian news agency reports that Israeli troops have detained 8 Palestinians, including a woman, Local sources said that while Israeli troops withdrew from the area surrounding the home, soldiers expanded their assault on other areas of the town. Israeli forces stormed several neighborhoods and raided multiple houses. At the same time, they seized surveillance cameras footage from one of the homes during the raid. Heavy gunfire was also reported as Israeli soldiers raided the areas, leading to violent confrontations with Palestinians. Gaza's government media office has called on international community, the United Nations and other international organizations to support efforts in counting victims and recovering thousands of bodies in the Gaza Strip. The media office expressed deep concern over a British study in The Lancet suggesting deaths in the enclave were uncounted by 41%, with an estimated toll of 64,260 compared to the official figure of 37,877. The media office statement said this discrepancy highlights the extent of the catastrophe inflicted by the Israeli occupation forces on civilians and civil infrastructure in the Strip. Why don't now we move on to the latest developments in Lebanon.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
Lebanon Health Ministry says Israel drone attack in the area of Deir Diba near the coastal city of Deir has killed 2 people. The incident comes with a little more than 2 weeks to go before a 60-day deadline to implement the terms of a ceasefire that ended the war between Israel and Hezbollah on November 27th. Lebanon's national news agency has reported Israeli artillery strike on the town of Aita Ashab in the Bint Jbeil region. The agency also stated that Israeli soldiers attacked neighborhoods with assault weapons despite a ceasefire with Hezbollah in November. Israeli troops remain in southern Lebanon, continuing to demolish homes and infrastructure. Residents have been barred from returning to their homes, exacerbating the humanitarian situation in the region. Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulides has met with the newly elected Lebanese President Joseph Aoun at the presidential palace. Christodoulides said during a news conference that he is in Lebanon to convey Cyprus' readiness to stand by the Lebanese people and government and do what is necessary for the integrity and prosperity of the Lebanese people. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati has met with President Joseph Aoun at Ba'abda Palace to discuss constitutional steps for forming a new government. Mikati confirmed that Aoun asked him to continue in a caretaker role until the new government is finalized. He stressed the importance of aligning the upcoming government with Aoun's parliamentary vision and reiterated calls for Israel's swift withdrawal from southern Lebanon, emphasizing plans to demilitarize areas south of the Litani River. Lebanese Finance Minister Youssef Al-Khalil has expressed optimism following the election of General Joseph Aoun as president, highlighting its potential to restore financial trust. Al-Khalil stressed the importance of public and institutional confidence to revive Lebanon's economy and called for key government reforms to attract Arab foreign investments, while he acknowledged challenges such as declining exports and imports and the impact of the Syrian crisis. He noted improved international bonds as a positive sign post-election. And now to the latest developments in Syria. Foreign Minister Asad al-Shaybani has highlighted the importance of safeguarding Syrians' rights as essential to achieving national unity. During a joint press conference with his Italian counterpart, al-Shaybani announced plans for a national dialogue conference to support an inclusive political transition. He also revealed plans to lead a high-level delegation on a European tour aimed at strengthening cooperation. Al-Shaybani reaffirmed Syria's commitment to human rights and stability, aspiring to make the country a regional model. Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani has reiterated Italy's support for the Israeli people and the country's territorial integrity. Speaking at a joint press conference with Syrian Foreign Minister Asad al-Shaybani, Tajani stated that Europe is open to lifting sanctions and strengthening ties between Syria and the European Union. He emphasized the rights of Syrians to a dignified life and highlighted Italy's diplomatic presence in Damascus, calling for national unity and the return of displaced Syrians. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has called on Syria's new administration to tackle the presence of Kurdish fighters within its borders. Speaking at a press conference in Istanbul, Fidan stated that Ankara is reassessing its military presence in Syria in response to recent developments. He also noted a significant withdrawal of planes and ships from Russian bases in Syria, signaling shifting dynamics in the region. And now we move on to the latest developments of the Russo-Ukraine conflict. The U.S. Treasury has announced new sanctions on Russia targeting major oil firms, their subsidiaries, and 183 oil tankers, including many from Russia's shadow fleet. The sanctions extend to entities supporting Russian liquefied natural gas exports, steel mining, and oil industries, as well as senior executives of state nuclear corporations Rosneft. This marks another effort to pressure Russia economically amid ongoing geopolitical tensions. The UK Foreign Office subsequently announced new sanctions on Russian oil giants, including assets freezes and transport restrictions. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has announced a $500 million military aid package for Ukraine at the Ukrainian Defense Contact Group meeting in Germany. The package includes air-to-ground missiles, munitions, and F-16 support equipment. Austin noted that the spending of over $122 billion in allied scrutiny aid since the war began, with additional commitments from the United Kingdom, Germany, and Norway. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here is what we've been covering. Houthi media report the Israeli, US, and British airstrikes on Sana'a and Hodeidah. The World Health Organization warns that Al-Awda Hospital urgently needs fuel supplies and access. And the US and UK impose sanctions on Russian oil firms, industry, and executives. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EGY to stay informed. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on Qnews.